The European nations once had a thing called the EU unity. However, the unity has been in tatters and turned into a total myth ever since the Ukraine war knocked upon the doors of Brussels. Things have been concerning where multiple governments have already fallen and whatnot. But among this chaos, the Balkans have their own champions who have historically stood up to the EU. Croatia's Zoran Milanovic is one such president who has become a constant thorn in the EU's side. Recently, Brussels tried everything in their playbook to remove him from power. They just didn't see what was coming their way. He has won a landslide, and boy, the faces in Brussels are all pale and red. Zoran Milanovic has celebrated his landslide victory in Croatia's presidential runoff election on Sunday, taunting from his Zagreb headquarters. It's over, look at the scoreboard. The numbers were also very brutal. Milanovic crushed Dragan Primorac, the candidate of the Prime Minister Andrej Plenković's SDS party, claiming over 74% of the votes. This victory wasn't shocking, as he nearly won outright in the first round on 29th of December with 49.1% of the vote. During his victory speech, Milanovic promised that constitutional adherence will be there, but he fired a warning shot at those who want to accumulate everything for themselves, saying that voters have sent them a message. This was indeed a direct attack at the Western powers, Brussels, and also Washington, D.C. He acknowledged his presidential powers over military and foreign policy, and he stated that cooperation will be needed to exercise. The final tally, with 99% of the polls counted, showed Milanovic demolishing Primorac with 75.5% of the vote to 25% of the vote, though the turnout only hit about 44% of the eligible voters. What is worth noting here is that nor the EU leaders, nor Zelensky, or even the Prime Minister Andrej Plenković congratulated Milanovic on this history. It's almost as if they are taking it as their own loss. And of course, this is a loss for them. Milanovic has got a history of butting heads with the West over Ukraine. He has blasted the Western Ukraine aid, opposed their NATO membership, labeled their 2014 Euromaidan protest as a coup d'etat, and also criticized the Western allies and Ukraine for not honoring the Minsk agreements. Just last October, he flat out refused to let the Croatian soldiers join the NATO's Ukraine support mission. The EU has long ignored Croatia for its small population of 3.8 million people. After the result, Western mainstream media once again labeled Milanovic as a populist, pro-Russia and anti-European Union candidate, drawing on his previous criticism of the EU's approach to the war in Ukraine and the introduction of sanctions on Russia. Milanovic has also blamed Zelensky for the war, calling him a thief who puts the life of innocent Ukrainians at risk. He stated, and we quote, "Ukraine is one of the most corrupt countries in the world. It is economically stagnating and hasn't gotten anything from the EU." Furthermore, while Milanovic has been an outspoken critic of the Croatia government's botched foreign policy, he has also shared critical views on the migrant workers. The pro-EU PM Plenković has often blasted Milanovic for such stances. Milanovic also blocked judicial reform and appointment that the EU favored. He accused the Prime Minister of cronyism, sparking institutional deadlock. Milanovic has also opposed certain EU energy policies promoted by the Prime Minister, claiming that they disregard Croatia's interest. Both leaders exchanged personal jabs, while Milanovic labeling Plenković as a servant of the Brussels and Plenković also calling Milanovic an embarrassment. But the electorate has spoken clearly, and Brussels' attempt to sideline this Balkan challenger has backfired spectacularly. The country may appear divided on the outside, but reality tells a very different story. Milanovic's triumph proved that he has public's unwavering support. Try as the EU might, despite Zelensky's wishes and Plenković's prayer, this victory demonstrates that citizens see through this facade. Once again, the carefully constructed matrix has been shattered and Brussels stands on the losing side.